Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip, and I actually want to ask, is the Apple Card the best card to use for Apple purchases? We're going to get into that, but before we do, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful, and that also helps more people to view the content. So thanks so much for doing that in advance, and if you have been a longtime channel supporter, I really appreciate it. All right, let's get into Apple Card and Apple purchases and whether or not this actually makes sense as something we should do, well, with our money and our time and everything else. So to top it all off, so the Apple Card here is, first of all, it is the nicest metal card that I have, right? And I can show you both sides because, well, it has no numbers on it, right? Which is nice. It's very secure. It makes that really nice clank when it actually, falls and drops, but it doesn't earn that well if you're actually using the physical card, which kind of sucks because, well, it's a very pretty card and you kind of want to, but you only earn 1% cash back on that. Now, overall, the Apple Card is $0 annual fee. The card kind of sweet spot is when you do Apple Pay. So if you use Apple Pay a lot on your iPhone or on your Apple Watch, anywhere, it earns 2% cash back, which is solid. It goes directly either into your Apple Cash balance, or you can actually create a high yield savings account where all that gets deposited daily once you earn it. The rewards do, which is really nice. But the kicker is for Apple is you get 3% cash back when you are, buying things through Apple. So if you're going to be buying a MacBook, right, that's 3% cash back, an iPad, 3% cash back, AirPods, 3% cash back. And then what's also really great is this card has no or 0% interest APR purchases through Apple. And so basically, essentially, when on the checkout, you can just say, I want to do the 0% interest payments. And then essentially, basically, it'll convert you to that. And then you actually don't have to worry about paying interest, and you still get that 3% cash back, which is nice because in comparison to something like the Amazon Prime Visa card, you have either 5% cash back on Amazon, or you can get 0% APR. You can't get both, but with the Apple Card, you can. Now, there are a couple of other options that could do pretty well for Apple purchases. So the first one that I want to talk about is the American Express Business Gold Card. So what the American Express Business Gold Card does is it earns 4x American Express membership reward points per dollar on purchases made with electronic retailers directly with them. So if you're actually going into the Apple Store to make a purchase, you can earn 3% cash back on your Apple Card, or you can earn 4x on your American Express Business Gold Card. Now, of course, there is a limit, right? It's $150,000 on purchases every year. But if you're someone who is going to be paying, actually cash flowing that iPhone or that MacBook, earning 4x on that purchase might be a whole lot better than earning 3% cash back on that purchase. And so, you do have to be aware because there are a variety of categories, right? So you can use, you have to be intentional about this month. I'm going to use one of my categories on this Business Gold Card for Apple purchases, right? But it's a solid card, right? If you're someone who's not going to be using the 0% APR purchase thing, then you could do that. Now, you could also do a kind of a pay over time deal with the Business Gold Card. However, you will probably be paying fees and or interest for that. So, if you're paying long term, Apple Card might be a better way to go. But if you are kind of cash flowing this or maybe even buying for a business, the Business Gold Card is going to be hands away a lot better than any of your other options because, well, it can earn transferable currencies. And a lot of us here in a credit card points and miles space, we really value that, maybe higher than cash back. Although if you are cash back, it's hard to beat that. So before we get too far into the Business Gold Card, I wanted to kind of step in and introduce you to the sponsor of our channel, me. And so if you actually take a look in the link in the description below, I have a website where I actually offer, first of all, I have a weekly newsletter that goes out every Friday. And that one actually keeps you up to date with the latest in the points and miles news and things that you need to know. And I also offer consultations. And so if you're someone who is looking for a little bit more hands-on information or kind of some one-on-one advice about maybe where you want to go next with your credit card journey. I do offer those consultations on my website. I have a mini session of 20 minutes or less. And then if you want something a little bit longer, I do offer more full-scale consultations as well. So anyway, that's going to be a link in the description below. But if you are interested at all, check that out, and we'll make something work out. So all right, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get back into the American Express Business Gold Card. So first of all, the annual fee here is extensive, right? It's $375, which is comparison to the no annual fee Apple Card, kind of pricey, and there's a lot of things you need to take into effect, right? So the American Express Business Gold Card is kind of one of the first cards that American Express gives you as a business card that you kind of have to have a business in order to do it, right? And so this card is great if you are someone who maybe, buys a lot of electronic goods. Maybe if you're someone who, has to go out to eat a lot for clients, right? You can get 4X on dining. You can also get 4X on gas stations. So if you're someone who's running a trucking company or something, this might work out well for you. There's a bunch of different things to consider here. But, essentially, basically, you have to put high levels of spend on this card in order for it to make sense. Now, it does have some credits, and we'll get into that. It has $20 every month in what's called a flexible business credit. You can use it at office supply stores and things like that. So some people use it to buy gift cards there. Some people can use it for Grubhub, right? So you can actually get $20 a month on Grubhub credits, which I actually do Grubhub pickup at a lot of places by my office in or downtown. And so essentially, basically, I'm able to use that. So $20 every month is $240 in total. And so $240 off of that $375 is getting a little bit closer to kind of making sense. But again, this is kind of a card that it makes sense to hold if you have a business, have a lot of spend on it, but it also makes sense to hold if you have a really, really great sign-up bonus. And that's the reason why I have the card. So the card has up to, I think it's 175,000 or 200,000 I've seen sign-up bonuses. I applied for the one with 200,000 points. However, I was in pop-up jail for that particular offer. I thought I'd try my hand at a different one, so I actually applied again for a 150,000 point offer that I was given, and I was accepted for that. So this card, I had to spend $15,000 in 3 months in order to get that 150,000 points, and I was able to do that earlier this spring, and it was kind of difficult to do. That was a significant amount of spend. I have seen some spending bonuses with this card where actually you have to spend $20,000, so that might be a little bit further out of reach. But if you can make that spend, then this sign-up bonus is definitely worth it, especially if you have kind of an intentional plan of what you want to do with those points. But that's not actually the end of it. So if you are someone who doesn't have the personal platinum card, the personal or the business gold card actually gives you Walmart Plus credits every month. And so basically, essentially, through American Express, you have to sign up for the monthly version, which is like $12.95, and then they kind of get that covered. And so with Walmart Plus, you get 10 cents off per gallon at Walmart gas stations as well as Exxon gas stations, which is helpful. And then you also get free delivery either online through Walmart.com or the grocery, kind of the free delivery service there. And so that's really nice. I get a lot of use out of it almost every week. My wife and I have a Walmart order, and that's where we get all of our soaps and toothpaste and toilet paper and trash bags, and the whole 9 yards kind of comes from that. And so that really makes our time when we're actually grocery shopping in store a little bit more deliberate, right? We can spend more time looking at fruits and vegetables that we want. We can spend more time looking at meats and things. We sometimes will go to a butcher down the street instead of going to Walmart for meats. And so you have a bunch of different options. So I use it through my American Express Platinum card though. And so I don't really value that as a thing. But if you don't have the Platinum card and you have the Business Gold card, then that can definitely help you out as well when it comes to justifying that $375 annual fee. And again, it is substantial. So, if you already have the card, if you're already earning towards the sign-up bonus, then that could be a better option for Apple. Now, it's important to note too that another component of the sign-up bonus with the Gold card is that it gives you 6 months of interest-free purchases. And so at a 0% APR on purchases for 6 months, the first 6 months when you open the card. And so if you do know that you have a couple of large Apple purchases coming up and you can kind of cash flow that over 6 months, then that actually can, one, help you earn towards the spend bonus, but can also help you essentially, manage those purchases and pay it off a little bit more and more over time. And so that can be somewhat substantial, actually. So anyway, those kind of two options are there, but I want to just throw out some other options and kind of give you the pros and benefits of each one. So the first one we're going to talk about is another cashback card, and that's going to be the Robinhood Gold card. So the Robinhood Gold card, again, is another card that I can show you both sides because there's no card numbers. It is quite nice. And I think if I were more of a cashback person, this card would get more and more use. However, I'm not so much. I'm kind of going towards sign-up bonuses with transferable currencies at the moment. Right now, my wife and I are working on a sign-up or a kind of a referral bonus with the Mesa card, where we have to spend $10,000 in 3 months and then get 50,000 points, which it's not the strongest one, but my wife and I are looking to shore up some of our Cathay Pacific miles, and so that's kind of where we're putting our spend right now. Now, this one gets 3% cash back on everything, and it's immediate. So, I can spend, I can buy a MacBook computer for $1,000 and I get 3% cash back, deposit it into my rewards account immediately, and then I can just transfer that to my brokerage and then be trading with that by the end of the day, right? So I can go ahead and buy Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies, right? And so this is an option. Now, the only problem with this option is that they do have recently enabled pay over time options, but it's deferred interest. And so deferred interest can be a little dangerous if you're not particularly interested in kind of making sure that you're not going to have any of that balance left. And so it is a little bit more on the dangerous side. This interest rate is my highest interest rate card. It's at 35%. And so this is definitely not something I would put a larger purchase on. If I were going to be paying over time. But if you are, again, cash flowing this thing, then 3% cash back into a brokerage account may be preferable than opening up, say, the Apple card and getting that 3% cash back just on Apple purchases and then some specific retailers. So that's another option. Now, another option that you might want to consider too is, I'm going to get into my wallet, either something that's 2x back. So for those, we have the Venture Card or the Fidelity Rewards Visa. So one earns cash back, 2% cash back. The other earns 2x back on any purchase. And so these are never bad cards to put retail shopping in, right? So if you don't have something specific like the Apple card or the Business Gold card, having your 2% catch-all or your 2x catch-all can really kind of help that out. And so the Venture Card here, $95 annual fee, 2x on every single purchase, no limits, anything at all, which is really nice. And so that's really nice. Now, the Fidelity Rewards Visa is a little bit interesting too, because that's 2% cash back, and you can auto redeem it into a cash management account or a regular brokerage account with Fidelity. And so that's really, really nice. You can also invest it automatically into an IRA or a 529 plan. There's a whole lot of different things with Fidelity that you can put your cash back into. And so if you are more into actually kind of making sure that you're investing in a significant manner, then the Fidelity Rewards Visa might be a good option for you. But anyway, let me know in the description or in the comment section which you think you would use for Apple purchases. And so my wife and I might be getting a new iPhone recently or soon, and then there's also a couple of different Apple events coming up. So I just wanted to get this out here to start the conversation. Let me know what you guys think, and I can't wait to see you guys. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.